Hey people, so this is going to be a short tutorial on multicollinearity. Now, as you're going through your statistical analyses and you're running your test of assumptions, you will come across an assumption that says something to the effect of test for multicollinearity. All right, so what would you do? You basically would run a correlation. It could be a Pearson's or a Spearman. You run a correlation and you look to see how highly correlated are your independent variables. If your independent variables are at least 0.7, then I highly suggest that you think twice before you run your regression. However, if you have a VIF factor, okay, there's a variance parameter. It's called VIF that comes out of your when you run a regression, and you can look this up. The VIF factor. I call it VIF factor. It's variance inflation factor, I believe. It takes a closer look to see how highly correlated your variables are. How severe is it? So once you do your multicollinearity and you, say for kicks, do your regression and you see that your VIF factor suggests that it's highly correlated, it's a highly correlated independent variable, you may decide at that point not to go a step further. Some people look at it and say, oh, my VIF factor is not that highly correlated. It's not as extreme as I thought, and they may decide to keep going. You know, that's entirely up to you, really. I would suggest you get a professional opinion, but that's up to you. So multicollinearity and as assumptions of the test, there are several test statistics that typically use multicollinearity. No, linear regression is one of them. Now, what else do I want to tell you about this? What I want you to realize is, first of all, what I want you to do is actually, when you're running through these different tests, take a moment and think about what this really means. What I'm doing, who cares? Like, why am I doing this? So for multicollinearity, what you're really looking to see is, are there any factors aside from the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable? Are there any factors amongst the independent variables that I need to consider and control for? Okay, and I'm using control as a very loose term here. All right, so basically what I'm saying, and to paraphrase what I'm saying, how are you going to predict anything with your dependent variable using your independent variables and not take into account what's going on amongst those independent variables? You have to take that into account. Okay? If two things are fighting each other, or two things are closely related, right? Then you need to kind of factor that in. All right, so it's very, I guess, like in a stats 101 course, maybe there is this tendency for us to just run things and not test assumptions. Oh, I ran a regression. Oh, that's great. I know how to do regression. Yeah, but not every single situation calls for a regression. Sometimes you have to decide not to do it. Sometimes you might have to go non-parametric. You know what I mean? So this is just a quick, tutorial, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And please like and subscribe. Okay? Thank you.